Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, ladies and gents, and welcome back to Riot Civil Unrest. So a couple of days ago, I did the protester slash civilian strategy kind of tactics guide for this game. Since then, there has been an update that has changed things around a bit, but I've pretty much understood what the update's done and how it's affected the game, so I will try my very best to factor that in to my demonstration of this today. Now, I realised with a comment that I received, not on the video, but actually on the forum post that I did on the discussion forum of the Steam page for the game, someone stated that I didn't explain the cause and effect of each things. So the pros and the cons of doing each action. Now, with protesters, that's kind of hard to show without a lot of work. So I'm actually going to redo the protester and civilian video in a bit more detail and try and go into it a bit better than I did, because I kind of rushed through all the information on that one. So with this, I've gone with the setup that I always do whenever I'm testing anything out in the game, and there's going to be tons and tons of people, more than 596 as it shows now, and it's going to be on a huge map, and the game's like half an hour long, so I'll be able to show you everything that you can do with the police. Now, whenever you start up a mission with the police or start up a custom game, I'll go through the missions first. Whenever you start up a mission, you will be given this screen, okay? Now, depending on what mission you're doing, some of these things will be greyed out, so you won't be able to remove them or change the units. Some will give you the option to add custom units of your choice, and others will just have the set loadout of how many units of different types you have. Most of the time you can go into editing them, however you will not be able to edit this member count. You will not be able to edit the type. You will only be able to edit the defense, the gas mask, and the weapon and the stimulant. Now, I highly recommend that you always set the gas mask to number 2. Number 2 seems to be the only gas mask that doesn't get affected by anything that your ballistic unit can send out. That includes the CS spray, the pepper spray, all the types of smoke grenades and all that kind of stuff, and the smoke rounds. The number 2 gas mask seems to be the only one that can affect that. Now, I will just point out, when you change this defense, when you change the item and when you change the weapon, it does affect how many people you're going to go up against. So the better defended you are, the more people you will go up against. So you'll see this count is currently at 596. If I edit this to the most extreme weapon that the police can have, which is the expandable baton, you will see that that's gone from 596 all the way up to 645. So as you can see, I've gone ahead and made every single unit a heavy defense with 30 members, giving them all stun grenades, which is like the most lethal deadly item you can have in their item list. And I've even given the ballistic units live ammunition. And well, the opposition we're going up against aren't particularly happy about that, which is why we would be going against 1,500 rioters and or protesters. Now, I do have to point out something, okay? The way the game currently works, you will only be able to get this kind of number in custom games. I very much doubt you'll be able to get anywhere near this kind of number in the actual scenarios that are in the games. And I must stress that I am in custom mode at the moment. I am in the custom mode of the game, where you can edit scenarios from the main campaign to your liking. So as far as I'm aware, the tactical units and the ballistic units are the most deadly in this game. You can see here how deadly a unit is by how many points they're costing. So our assault units are costing 4,200, tactical units 4,400, and our ballistic units 7,200. So this is just a quick overview of the setup that I usually try and go for most scenarios and most missions. Just 2 tactical units, 2 assault units, and 2 ballistic units. Now I will just point out that changing this weapon does affect quite a bit. It will not only affect the number of people you go up against, but also, depending on what weapon you have, it depends on what range you can shoot your smoke grenade or smoke ammunition. I will just put a little thing quickly up on the screen, so you can pause the video if you want to, on which weapons do what distance. Okay, it'll be very simple. So we are up against 667 protesters, I believe was the number. And with the update, they have changed around the UI a bit. They've made it a bit easier to get around and a bit easier to work out where things are. As far as I can work out, they've kept all the all the police stuff over to the right hand side, and they keep the protester and civilian stuff over to the left hand side. Now you'll notice what I'm doing here is I have these civilians / protesters set at angry. However, they will not get angry until I provoke them. Currently, I'm just blocking their path. I'm not provoking them at all. I'm not using violence. They're not using violence. Everything is completely and utterly peaceful. Now, this is a very, very simple technique. This is just a line blockage technique. Okay? Very, very simple. You just get 2 big groups of tactical teams. You see I have my assault teams set back a bit and my ballistic teams set back again. You get 2 teams of tactical. You put them into the line formation, which is the down arrow on your keyboard. And if you hold it and aim where you want them to face, then they will face in that direction. And it takes a bit of work to get them exactly where you want them, but overall it's not too bad. So you will notice occasionally when you have this kind of technique, when you have a lot of pressure on one section of the line, people do sneak through. I'm not sure whether it's a bug of the game, I'm not sure whether it's supposed to happen like that, but it happens. People do sneak through, and that's why I keep my assault teams very close behind my tactical teams, so that if a big bulge of people do break through, then I can hold down number 4 on my keypad, I can hover over that group and let go of number 4, and as you'll see right now, they will go and arrest a bunch of people. Now, this is brilliant if people have broken through your lines. Now, because I've arrested someone that wasn't actually doing something, that might agitate the protesters a bit, but it's not a huge action, so hopefully it won't agitate them enough to actually get them to start throwing rocks at me. And they have started throwing rocks at me. Wonderful. So as you see now, the new update brought in morale to the police. So what I will need to do now is keep my unit very close to my frontline unit so they don't lose morale and they don't break, and I will initiate what I like to call enforcer mode. And that's basically just pressing number 1 on your keypad, and that will put them into this mode, which is basically just a defensive mode. And you'll see now that people are breaking through my line, so I'm going to need to use that mode to try and round them all up. And the good thing about this, well, I like to call it my enforcer mode. It's actually called the Testudo mode, following the Roman military style. But what it is very good at is blocking people in. Now I'm going to have to be quite careful here that this doesn't go full scale, and after a while they do start to calm down and they're like, right, violence isn't getting us anywhere, we need to relax. Now of course I could pop smoke right here. I could pop smoke, and for the purposes of this video that's exactly what I'm going to do. So when you're popping smoke, depending on what gun you have. Now I have the GP25, which is a long range. Oh my god, they just threw a door at me. Which is a long range smoke weapon. Okay, so I'm gonna want to stand quite far back when I fire it, and so I'm gonna hold down. You can click these and then go down and select them. I don't do that. I use the hotkeys that they have listed underneath, and I hold down that hotkey and then I can do whatever I want with it. Now, if say I want my smoke grenade to land there, I don't want to aim there, okay? Your smoke grenade will go, and this is the same for Molotovs. It's not the same for actual smoke grenades that they have in their hand. They will land pretty much on target. But you want to, if you want it to land about there, you want to aim at least 5 feet back, if not further. If it's a very close target, like the line is there and you are there, you want to aim literally at your feet, because the smoke grenade will go, if you aim there, the smoke grenade won't go there, it'll go over here somewhere, because it's very flat. This is a very angled drop, so it's going up and then down, so I don't have to worry that much about it, okay? So I'm going to pop it around about there, and it should line up just about right with my line of guys. The reason I want to do that is if I put it in the middle of the crowd, the people above it are going to go up here, the people behind it are going to go back there, which is where I want everyone to go, the people below it are going to go down, and the people here are going to smash through my lines. I don't want that at all. I want to push all of these guys backwards. And now you see these guys are lost morale, so I'm going to have to improvise quite quickly here. And now you'll see those people that were this side are getting pushed back this direction, and this is really not good. I didn't anticipate this happening at all. So I'm going to have to use my assault unit, and this is why this is absolutely perfect for having your assault units very, very close on hand, because they can just take up the slack until you can get these guys back. Now, if ever your units get stuck behind vehicles like this, just put them into the tight formation, put them behind, and then get them back over. Okay, now I'm going to have to stay here. Well, he says. The gist of what you want to do with the police is do not turn violent until you absolutely have to. Because as you've seen here, once you turn violent, once you do anything that hasn't been warranted, that's it. There is no going back. There is no going back, as you've seen here. There is, no, like, apart from that arrest that I did at the start, where I took away one of their leaders, if you can, get your units, especially your tactical units, get them in line formations and just hold the crowd back. If you need to push the crowd away, don't be violent. Just have your tactical unit in that line, hold the protesters in a fashion that they're blockaded, like you saw at the start of this game. So if these guys were here, I would have my tactical units here, holding them in a blockade. And then if you want to push them back, try using the smoke grenades very, very lightly. Don't overuse them, because they will start to get pissed off. And when you fire the smoke grenade, wait for it to land, then click on the unit it's landed by, and get that blue shield, that blue shield sign to come up, and then just click it. And they will push forward with the inertia of the crowd going back from the smoke grenade. Okay? If you don't have smoke grenades, or you don't want to use smoke grenades because you're fearful of the crowd fighting back, that's completely justified. It's a possibility if you overuse smoke grenades. Have your tactical units stand maybe 5-10 feet back, rush them in, push out a little hole, and then click on your... have your assault units stand back, rush them in, create a bit of a hole in the protesters, and then have your tactical units push forward. One thing I have noticed in this game is if you have your tactical units in a line and you tell them to say go back here and you click once, they will start pushing. Whether they can make it or not, they will start pushing. If you then get an assault unit, 1 or 2 assault units, and rush them in and create a bit of a hole, the tactical units, I keep on forgetting the name of these guys, the tactical units will use that opportunity to push. And it's quite spectacular what you can actually do. So now I'm going to show you that way. And I'm going to load up a ton of people. It's going to lag my game to hell. I'm going to have 4 tactical units, no assault units, and 2 ballistic units, and I'll show you how to force push back a massive crowd with no violence at all. Of course, when it actually comes to violence, in this current game version, I don't think there's a lot you can do because the morale of police units is very broken. They need to increase the morale of police units because police units do not break that easily. But I will show you how to do it as peacefully as possible, and I am very, very confident that if you follow this style of usage with police units, and you can even use assault units in your line with tactical units, they won't be as good, but they will still do the job. And I fully believe that you can complete most of the things that start off peacefully, you can complete them peacefully. So, exactly the same map. This time I am up against 1,099 protesters. There are no flags involved, so they will all be active. And at the end, I will go through basically the conclusion of this video and basically tell you in the space of about 2 minutes what you've learned in this space of however long the rest of this video has been. Now, I don't know about you, but I would consider that a victory. I mean, there's no way they can get back through. I would just point out the reason I've lost control of these guys and these guys and the other units don't seem to come back. Well, anyway, the reason I've lost control of these guys is because they still, you can see a little green highlight around one of these guys. They still have some units that are stuck up here on the bridge. And currently, the pathfinding of the AI in this game doesn't seem to be 110%. That's also why you saw when I had some major pushes over here, when I got to this area and this area and this area, I had a few leak outs in this area as well of people. And that's because these things, like little tiny signs and stuff, and the lampposts have it too, and it seems this has it too, they all have collision. I don't know why they have collision. They shouldn't have collision, but they all have collision. And sometimes if you've got them positioned tight enough, your police will get stuck on these, and it will create gaps in your line. It's a pain in the arse, and I hope the devs fix it. But that's just the reason it happens. So that's why you have to occasionally get rid of the testudo mode, sprint yourselves back a bit, get all the civilians back within your border, and then push them back in and hope it doesn't happen. So in conclusion, with the police, the gist of it is, if you don't have to get violent, don't, because it's so much easier to complete the game without getting violent. Obviously in the later levels you've got no choice because the rioters start out violent, but if you can help it, wait until the rioters get violent, because it will be so much easier for you, and especially on the next map you will have a lot of advantage if the rioters get violent first. So always remember that line formation is the best for holding people. The thicker you can make it, the better. Try not to spread your forces out too much, because even if you leave a tiny little gap, they will get through. As also, in the other point of looking at it, it's also a good thing, because when they start sneaking through one at a time, you can see where the gaps are, and hopefully you can plug them quick enough to stop the majority of people getting through. Now, I will just stress, this line formation won't work for every single scenario, okay? Sometimes you just have to get in that block formation and just rush them till they, well, get out of your area, really. When it comes to the violentness of protesters and dealing with them being violent from the start, all I can say to you is keep your police together, because once the protesters start getting violent, it affects your morale of your police a lot. In this current version especially of the game, keep your police together, do not separate them, keep popping off those gas grenades and tear gases as much as you possibly can, because if the rioters are already pissed off and they're already throwing stuff at you, you cannot do any worse with the tear gas and with the pepper spray and the CS spray. If you can help it, try to refrain from using rubber ammunition and live ammunition, because that will really screw you over. Unless, of course, the rioters are already throwing Molotovs and crackers and all kinds of things at you, then go ahead and use it, because you have no other option. If you have any questions at all, please leave them down in the description. I will, once again, as I did with the rioters, I will post a link to this video in the Steam discussions on the Riot Civil Unrest Steam page. There is actually some pretty damn good information on that discussion thread if you want to go and check it out. There's some pretty awesome stuff. If you have any problems, you can always post there, and people are usually pretty damn helpful with that. Also, if you have bugs, it seems that the devs are quite responsive to people asking questions about things not working currently. Again, if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comment section below. As always, thank you very much for watching. I will be going into much more detail in another video about the protesters, because I don't think I went into enough detail in the previous. I kind of just scanned over the top of everything. And I will also be making a unofficial tutorial video on basically just how everything in the game works. Not strategies, not any kind of that, just what all the buttons do, how everything works, and how you can do what you want to do in this game. Because even though I believe it's still early access, there is so much stuff you can do in this game already. There's some stuff that still doesn't work, but they are getting there, they are working on it, and I think it will turn out to be a really kick-ass game. They have already promised workshop support. I cannot wait for some mods to come out of this. If the modding's simple enough and people don't make the mods already, I've got quite a few ideas of things I want to do. So there's still going to be some tutorial videos. They're going to be the unofficial guide, obviously, to the game, and I'm also going to make some chaotic Riot in the editor and in the custom mode. So without further ado, ladies and gents, as always, thank you very much for watching, and good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and good night. And wherever you are in the universe, stay awesome, and I will see you in the next video.